I know you're going to love today's show. We really put together a good one for you. Please record it, folks. One day, 5, 6, 7 years from now, you'll want to watch these again. This is the only show on television that is recordable and watchable and learnable 10 years from now. Nobody's talking about fungus. Everybody's on the bacteria, on the virus bandwagon. Nobody's talking about fungus as contributing to ill health. Food and Drug Administration say that adverse events are at an all-time high. Steroids can induce high blood pressure. Antidepressants can cause depression. It's amazing what's going on out there, folks. I'm going to read you headlines. People who live in areas of a lot of fast food restaurants have a higher rate of heart disease. Gosh, as though we didn't understand that, okay? David Dill joins me today. David is a wonderful man who comes from a wonderful family, and they're involved in the healthcare field. His testimony is just brilliant. Global warming and fungus. They say with this global warming, we have more fungal problems, folks. Fungus has been around for a long, long time, referenced in the Bible. It's been around a long time. Global warming, they tell us, is brand new. Jenny Hrbacek is a registered nurse. She's going to teach us today. The show is assembled so that each 10 minutes you'll want to come back and watch more and more. There's a hunger for more on Know the Cause. Thank you for joining.
For the past 45 years, I have dedicated my life and my whole career to finding the root cause of disease. And I now know with certainty that we must play a role in our own health care. I'm a self-care advocate, and you know what? Every time you change your diet for the better, exercise, or swallow a nutritional supplement, so are you. Now welcome to Know the Cause.
Friends, through the years, I've saved some headlines that I wanted to share with you. Now, adverse events are growing events. Adverse events, ADE, adverse drug events, are growing in number. And it's just so out of control. When you don't teach doctors to know the cause, then you teach them to prescribe for symptomatic relief. Well, I've got 3 things going on. I got asthma, toenail fungus, and migraines. Well, then you can have 3 drugs. What if they were all linked? Because fungus can induce all of those. And then would you need a drug? Or would you need a changed lifestyle, a changed diet, maybe some supplements that are inexpensive and safe? I do this show to help you better understand that this is not the way our doctors are educated. Twice my IQ. I've got hundreds of doctor friends, brilliant and fun people. But when you take our brightest and best and you don't give them all the information during their medical training, oh, they learn this much about bacteria, and this much about virus, and that much about fungus. What if fungus were the cause? So let's go down this. I call this road Foods and Drugs and Some Powerful Headlines. Foods and drugs and some powerful headlines, okay? And I did that for a reason. As you begin to look at these, through the years I look at these and I just can't believe it, but I wanted to share it with you, okay? Steroids can cause high blood sugar. Are you kidding me? Isn't high blood sugar a symptom that characterizes diabetes? Well, here's what the Annals of Pharmacotherapy in 2018 said. Hyperglycemia is a predictable adverse effect of glucocorticoid therapy, which is associated with negative outcomes, including an odds ratio of 1.36 for developing new onset diabetes. You mean people, children, that we're putting on steroids have an increased risk of diabetes? No wonder they say 100 million Americans either have diabetes or are ticking time bombs for diabetes. They call it pre-diabetes. No wonder. Here, take a steroid. Take this pack. You take it 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. You know, it's not going to hurt you. Just wondering, okay? Simponi is an arthritis drug. Noted under the most common side effects of that drug is this: new or worsening joint pain. Wait a minute. That drug's supposed to help me with my joint pain. And if I take it, I may have new or worsening joint pain. Folks, am I the only one that thinks if it weren't so tragic, it'd be comical? You've got to be kidding me. This drug can make arthritis? And we have people with arthritis swallowing it by the millions. See, I've always talked to your doctor about turmeric, a change diet, an exercise program, and yeah, it's going to hurt for a couple of weeks. And it's cold outside, or it's too hot outside. We have a million excuses. The road forks. We can go this way and find our thumbprint on keeping ourselves better. Or we can go this way and stand in the crowds of people waiting for shots, waiting for drugs, etc. It's really up to you. And I'm not condemning anyone. This show is just for your education, okay? Fast food restaurants, study says areas with more fast food restaurants report more heart attacks. Does anybody get that? Maybe we should back off fast foods if we're concerned about the ticker. You know, maybe we should back off. Once in a while, I remember when the kids were small, you know, you'd go get a hamburger with them or something. I think that's okay. Making it a daily event, just know your risk of heart attack goes up. Antidepressants may cause suicidal depression and suicidality. 1 in 6 Americans take psychiatric drugs. 1 in 6, 12 years later after that headline came out. Wait a minute, antidepressants may cause you to commit suicide. 12 years later, 1 in 6 Americans take psychiatric drugs. Antidepressants were the most common, followed by anxiety relievers and antipsychotics. Wow. Wow. And finally this, a popular osteoporosis drug. Bisphosphonate products like Actonel, Boniva, Fosamax, and Reclast may put patients at risk of hip fractures if taken more than 5 years. Now, I'm sorry. That just blows my mind. And I remember the actresses on TV, take this drug, look, I can move. Folks, sometimes, it may be rare, but sometimes the very drugs you're swallowing to enforce your bones causes them to deteriorate. And this is today's science, okay? I hope you learn from this. I'm not shaking my finger at anyone. I need you to hear this and learn so you can have an open conversation with your doctor. You know, friends, every once in a while in life you meet someone who impacts you, who's so extraordinary and whose story is so amazing that you never let go. Oh, we let each other go for years at a time, and then we'll text or say hello to each other. David Dill is here with me today. I met David at Grambling State University, where your daughter was a nurse, and I was speaking to a group of nurses about fungus, mold, mildew, and fungus, and up comes Dad and shakes my hand. How is she doing, by the way?
She's doing very well. She's doing very well. She's actually, she was a student in the School of Chemistry. Okay. That's what she got her degree in. And she's doing fantastic. She's given me 5 beautiful grandchildren, her and her husband. And I just had the blessed privilege of being able to visit with them and reconnect, and it was just beautiful, beautiful.
You're a large family. And it struck me when we were together yes. how smart. You know, these kids, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and these kids are absolutely amazing. She's now a doula?
Yes.
How about that? So she didn't stay in chemistry. She decided to go for anatomy and physiology, kind of doing that. Does she enjoy that?
She enjoys it quite a bit, yes. She's in her 2nd of 3 years of the schooling, you know,
required for that.
Yes, and so she's doing fantastic.
Other children? You have a son?
I have a son. The oldest son, his name is Jordan, and he is 32 this year. And my youngest son, he turns 12 in March.
Good for you.
Okay, so that's the spread between the youngest and the oldest. And then my daughter, Lavina, just a year and a half older than her sister, Emma. So yeah, there's 4 children and 5 grandchildren that consist of my family.
Man, you are blessed.
Thank you. I really am.
They pulled you to them recently. You were at home
yes.
and said, I got to get in my car. And for some reason, David, we had lunch yesterday. My producer and I, John, had lunch with David. And as he's telling this story, and we're eating this chicken thing that was so good. It struck me. You were called to drive across country and spend a month in seeing family. How is that going for you?
It's going fantastic. It was actually a very blessed trip, and it's a trip that I really needed to be free and flexible. Sometimes you can make a plan and you think things are going to go a certain way, and the Lord has other things in mind for you that he needs accomplished, and so...
Yep, like a stop in Dallas to do a little TV.
Perhaps.
You folks probably know David from a decade ago or a little longer. We stood with our cameras there at probably Grambling State.
Yes.
And David wanted to give us a little testimonial. We're going to show you that right now, and it'll snap your memory back. Aha, that David Dill, the mustache guy. Watch this.
Know the cause has just changed my entire life, for sure. It's getting down to the root issue that seems to be avoided by so many in the medical profession and the pharmaceutical profession. We began about 3 years ago watching Know the Cause. I knew that God wanted us healthy, but I didn't know the specifics of how to make that happen other than what's being taught in mainstream media. We know that diet and exercise is so critical. The specifics of what to eat and why to eat those things, that's what we got from Know the Cause. The fact of the matter is that a lot of people have begun to believe that their health conditions are not solvable by just simply looking at how our bodies respond to trauma, our bodies heal themselves. And if our bodies are not healing themselves and if they're getting worse, that's an indication that something's wrong, something's off, and we need to get to the root cause of it. If you ignore information that's being presented to you to heal you, that information that can save your life, then the ignorance is actually willful. I've been on the phase 1 diet and I might fall off the wagon, but I get back up and I do what I have to do. And I am getting some improvement. My weight is coming down, my waist is shrinking, my chronic sinusitis issues, all of that is dissipating. So I know it's working. When something's working and people are getting results, it's worth paying attention to. Final advice is watch Know the Cause, because you will get the true answer to the true problem.
Okay. I could see that 70 more times, and I did see it 70 times back 10 years ago. Thank you for those compliments and so forth. And you were on fire back then. You were saying, okay, my daughter just learned something amazing. There was Dr. Roby Mitchell, Dr. Lynn Jennings, and me and Kyle Drew got up and spoke. Where are you with that knowledge 10 years to the future?
It's been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal. I think, well, if you look at the difference between me then and now, just physically, me learning how to take good care of myself, eating the right foods, avoiding some of the wrong foods, and still being able to enjoy some of the goodies that we like, you know what I mean, right? Sure. I discovered a good balance for myself. And I found the importance of making sure that you give the body what it needs to heal itself. The body will do what it's been designed by our Creator to do if you're paying attention to it, and if you're recognizing the signs of what's going on with you, and then if you begin to start doing your own research to discover, okay, what herb or what natural thing that comes out of the ground, or perhaps what is produced in nature that can really help with what I'm going through. And that's the track I've been on all these years, and it's helped immensely, not only me, but my family as well. It has, everything that I have shared with them has affected each and every one of them.
Even a daughter with a degree in chemistry, I mean, she is so smart.
Yes.
Her dad is talking to her. She's got 5 children and a husband herself.
Yes.
So obviously you're giving her counsel over the phone when you're not with her. Hey, take good care of yourself. Get back. Is she a believer in fungus? Because she had to go through a lot of schooling.
Yes.
To get where she. Does she believe this?
Yes, she believes it. She knows that what you're teaching and what you're sharing with the world is actually true, and there's just no doubt about it. The whole family has embraced what you're teaching, and it has impacted our family for the best.
Show the folks a picture of Mom. We were looking at this yesterday. At here's his mother, and when you told me that's your mom and sister,
yes,
you know what I did, right?
Yes.
I had to go back, excuse me, to David and say, okay, which is your mom? Which is your sister? I mean, what an attractive family. So Mom in red.
Yes.
And David, you're now you know, you're pushing a couple of months to 60 years old, and that's when the trips to the doctors start. You're kind of like me, though. You've always said, look, I want to take care of myself as long as I can, take care of those I love, mom, kids, etc., as best I can for an extended period of time, so maybe doctor's visits aren't needed. Do you see yourself going to doctor after doctor from 60 to 70 years old?
Well, the last doctor that I just went to, you know, he told me my numbers were better than his. Correct. So, you know, I'm paying very close attention to taking good care of myself. And I do see myself getting checkups, just like, you know, what is recommended.
Yeah.
And if I need to do something medically, I'll do it. But for the most part, I plan on being here for a good long time. You know, in Scripture, the Bible says that man's days shall be 120 years.
Yeah.
That's in Genesis 6. So I'm just getting started good. You understand what I mean?
You're only halfway there. Good
Right.
to see you again. Thanks for
Right.
lunch the other day. It's just a joy to be with you.
Yes. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much, Dad.
You know, I have so many of these old medical textbooks. This one's called Grain Storage, The Role of Fungi, and it's written by a guy I always wanted to meet, never did, Clyde Christensen, and his co-author, Henry Kaufman, spelled just like me, but no relation. In this book, I remember reading this and flagging so many pages. Listen to this. The same is not true of fungus. Only recently, 1969, 50 years ago is when this book was written, have fungi been recognized as a major cause of spoilage in stored grains and seeds. 50 years, folks. We've known for 50 years that, cereal grains may be contaminated with fungal mycotoxins. More and more recently, we're seeing a huge problem. Just a friend of mine who's a doctor called me on Sunday and said the two biggest areas right now in medical research are electromagnetic field, cell phones, these 5G towers and so forth. Are they hurting us? And fungus. So I got in it 50 years early. But there's a question looming, and that is this. Why so many fungal diseases recently? And folks, I think if you think about this, it's not recently. Our doctors are recognizing it recently, but it's not. And they didn't learn about this in their medical training. If they're older doctors, all they learned about is bacteria and viruses, certainly not fungus, okay? So let's walk down this lane. Why are we seeing so many? And immediately the scientific community jumps up. Well, we know why, but let's take a look. Climate change. It's all about climate change. It raises the risk of deadly fungal infections in humans, says Science News 2019. But worsening fungal conditions aren't new. We've known of this for a long, long time. Let me give you a little history lesson, okay? We'll walk down memory lane here. Look at this. I have this book, Synopsis of Pathology, 1942. Dr. Mosby said this: fungal infections are not rare in man and are frequently serious. You're kidding. Before World War II or right at World War II, fungal infections are pretty common. That's before antibiotics came along. Antibiotics, I contend, exploded our guts with yeast because they killed the competition, the bacteria. In your intestine, you have good yeast, good bacteria. God put them there. We randomly began killing, and look, antibiotics are good because they could save lives. I think they've now reached a peak where we're far over prescribing them, okay? But with the death of the bacteria in the gut now, you've got these yeasts creeping around. 1942, before antibiotics were on the market, we got a problem. Fungal infections are out there, and they're frequently serious, okay? 42. Now, let's advance. Let's go to 1944. Duke University, 5 doctors wrote the Manual of Clinical Mycology. In it, they wrote, fungal infections are of such common occurrence that we have found it necessary to consider fungal diseases in the differential diagnosis of practically every obscure infection. How long ago was that? We don't do it today. Everything's bacteria. Even the medical magazines, Pediatrics and others, are slapping their hands and saying, we are abusing antibiotics. We need, antibiotic stewardship. And they just aren't doing it, folks. They learned in medical training to prescribe antibiotics. What's this word fungus? That's 44. Let's advance. 1957, this is a medical book out of Johns Hopkins University. There is reason to believe that systemic fungus infections have been becoming more prevalent recently, and they will probably continue to increase in incidence. I give that one a big duh, do you think? Antibiotics have been on the market for 7 or 8 years now. All of a sudden, we're seeing an explosion of fungal diseases. Nobody back then put one and one together, that antibiotics were erasing the good bacteria. Today, of course, we recognize that many symptoms, brain symptoms, bone symptoms are linked to the bacteria in our gut. What did we do 50 years ago? 70 years ago, we began erasing it. Okay, here's the next one. And this comes out of the prestigious JAMA, Journal of the American Medical Association, 1979, so 40 years ago. The incidence of certain fungal infections should continue to accelerate, a trend especially disturbing. May I say especially disturbing if you don't know what to do about it? Do you prescribe antibiotics and then prescribe antifungals after? Originally, nystatin was cleaved onto antibiotics in the 1950s. I don't know why they unhooked it, but they did. Okay, here's one. 1998, Dr. Mike Rinaldi wrote Clinically Significant Fungi. Fungus was among the first proven causes of infectious disease. It was in silkworms south of France. Isn't that fascinating? It wasn't in humans, but it goes way back hundreds of years. And finally this, and in 2007, just a dozen years ago, the prestigious American Academy of Microbiology said, fungi are the cause of many outbreaks of disease, but they're mostly ignored. Fungi can cause a number of life-threatening diseases. Many people, scientists among them, are largely unaware. Friends, it's not global warming. It has been around for a long, long time. Doctors are finally beginning to recognize their antibiotic prescriptions can't erase it, okay? It's been here a long, long time. They're now acknowledging it. That's a good thing. But it's not just going to go away, and I think diet is a huge part of this. Kaufman diet, okay?
Hi, I'm Jenny Hrbacek with the Cancer Connection. Today I want to talk to you about something that we all use, and that's toothpaste. Did you realize that many toothpastes contain chemicals that are linked to cancer? And once in your mouth, these chemicals are absorbed into the bloodstream. For example, many toothpastes contain DEA, a foaming agent that interacts with other common ingredients in toothpaste to form nitrosamines. I find it interesting that toothpaste sold in Europe have different, safer formulations than the same products made by the same companies sold in the US. That's because the European Union has much stricter cosmetic laws. Okay, and I also want to caution you for reaching for that natural brand. Many of those still contain a long list of harmful substances. You can read more about this on the Cornucopia Institute's website under the Toothpaste Report and Scorecard. For Know the Cause, I'm Jenny Hrbacek.
Wasn't that a great show? David Dill and his family, I've gotten to know them here through some time. Amazing man. David, thank you for coming in and sharing that testimonial with us. It's a fascinating show, folks. I hope you're taping it. I mean no harm to the FDA and all the adverse drug reactions and the blood pressure problems with certain medications. Rather, the show is meant to teach you. Doctors have twice my IQ, but still, many of us are on drugs or going on drugs. Be careful out there, folks. Have a great one. Bye-bye.